Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of the 1975 Triumph Spitfire 1500 that we are working on here. We replaced the wiring harness with an advanced auto wire, upgraded wiring harness that advanced auto wire developed for our Triumphs to replace the Lucas harness that came originally on these cars, because everybody knows that these are not very reliable. So just a quick overview here of what we've done. We installed this block which has relays and fuses that are a much better option, because originally we don't have relays for lights. For many of the circuits are run directly through the switches, which puts a lot of load through the switches. So we installed this block, we run all the wiring under the dash, all the gauges now and lights and switches and everything on the dash are connected, most of them actually, and everything is just hanging here, but we are able to test it as it is. We also hooked up everything in the engine bay, and the harness is just run now temporarily and connected to everything so we can test it. But once everything checks out and we are sure that everything is good to go, we're gonna pull it back a little bit and we're gonna put it in a loom. Same thing here. I don't think we're gonna pull out the whole harness from under the dash, but we're gonna put most of it in looms and secure it nicely. So at the end of the previous video, we did a quick check and tested some of the things, and turns out that most of the things under the dash work, except the oil pressure light and the high beam light that are inside the tachometer. The right signal, for whatever reason, doesn't work. The left one works, the right doesn't work. But when we turn the hazards on, all the signals are working, including the right signal. So that tells me that probably the switch here inside is bad, but we're gonna troubleshoot that. The horn is not working, and some of the illumination lights, I think. So these are all bugs that we have to figure out today. And once everything here is done, we're gonna move to the engine bay. We're gonna make sure that we have ignition, we have spark, we have everything, and maybe we can start the car later today. Maybe she can drive out on her under her own power today instead of pushing her. Oh, also the reverse light was not working. I mean, it was working when we test the wiring, but it's not working through the switch. The switch wires are here and we connected them, but I don't seem to put it in reverse. Like I have the feeling that I'm going in first instead of reverse. So we're gonna have to figure that out, unless, oh, this is, actually I never drove a 1500. Maybe the reverse is not like on the early ones. Never occurred to me. Okay, maybe it's a user error. Anyways, we will see. Let's start with the simple stuff, and we're gonna go through everything that is not working one by one, and we're gonna put more detail into it this time. So enough talking, let's get crack-a-lacking. Alright, so let's start with the horns, because that was the first thing that we found out that was not working. And the first thing that we're gonna check is, of course, if they are actually working, the actual horns. So this is my tester, and for those of you who don't know how it works, so if I touch ground, it goes green and it shows 0 volts. It shows me the voltage here as well. You see? So that's ground. If I touch power, it should show me a red light and give me a sound with different pitch, but that option of it is broken because I dropped it too many times. So it doesn't light and it doesn't give me a signal, but it shows me the voltage here. So there you go. We have 12.2 volts on the battery. We're a little bit low, but it's fine. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me a signal anymore and it doesn't give me a red light, but it's fine. Also, if I press back, now my tip is grounded. I can bypass circuits by providing direct, look at this, providing direct ground. And of course, because there's ground here, now it gives me the green light and the 0 volt. If I press forward, that gives me power here. So not only I can test circuits with it, but I can also bypass circuits with it. So I'm gonna go and bypass the horns directly and see if they're gonna work. Because if I power it, oh, it works, okay. Huh, they're the same pitch, but it doesn't matter. The horns themselves work. Let's go inside then. Okay, we're inside now and we're gonna check for the most common problem with the horns, which is no ground to the shaft. Because the shaft, let's go back out for a second, because the steering shaft is grounded here, but there is a U-joint over there that sometimes doesn't transfer ground to the steering column. So how it should work is, this is the switch and this is aftermarket wheel, so it works a little bit different. Normally this brush is loose, but here it is soldered directly to the one side of the horn, and this brush goes inside that hole and touches a strip, like there's a round strip that is the power for the horn. So the power for the horn from that strip needs to be connected to ground, and that's what the button does. When you press it, it connects this to this little wire here. This wire touches ground, and that's how it works. So first of all, let's see if we have power on that strip down there. So we're gonna put that in the hole, and yes, we do have power. So if we put ground to that strip, we should hear the horns working, and they do. Let's see if we have ground. Yes, we do have ground. Even though it doesn't give me the green light, it still shows ground. So why was the button not working? Maybe this brush is not touching the strip because there's nothing to push it in. So we have to push it hard to make sure that it stays there and it touches the thing. How is this steering going? Like this. And I have to... Okay, give me a second. It's hard to do it one-handed. Okay, I'm gonna do that with two hands. I'll bring you back. Okay. Oh. Oh. You have to press here on the side. Why? So this also pushes the brush down, I guess. But when you press in the center, it doesn't work. I'll figure that out. I'm gonna probably push the brush a little bit further in and try to jam it there with something. Because it looks like the brush is not touching that strip all the way in. And when I press here, I push the brush as well. And when I press here... Anyway, it's better if we jam it in and make it stay there, because this way we're gonna make sure. Okay, I had to take the button apart because it was driving me crazy. And this is what's inside. First of all, this little tab inside is the one that is connected to the brush. So when we go and touch it, we have power here. And it's like pretty good power. Even when we turn the steering wheel left and right, it's staying good. So the brush is doing what it's supposed to do. The thing is, here inside we have this plate that goes like this, and when you press the button, the tip of the plate touches the contact in the middle. Now it is not put on, so we don't have ground on this spring, but this whole thing is one piece of wire, right? These 2 or 3 clips on the side are connected to this spring, so it's supposed to transfer power here. But you see, this looks like it doesn't make good contact. So I'm gonna clean it up on the wire wheel. That's better. Can't clean much here on the sides, but here where it's making contact with this is better. So let's try again. Okay, that problem solved. Let's move on to the next issue, which was, well, the signals. Let's look at the signals now. Okay, for the signals we need to have the ignition on, but we don't want to keep the ignition on for a long time without the car running, because the coil is under load, depending on the position of the electronic ignition, of course, or the points if you have points. But we don't want to risk it. We don't want also the electronic ignition to be on for a long time. I don't know if this type of electronic ignition is good in that case or not, but I know that some electronic ignitions, for example the Pertronix electronic ignition, doesn't like to be on when the car is not running. So we disconnected the white wire from the coil, which is power to the coil. So the electronic ignition is still connected to the coil, but the coil is not powered, so we are good. So now I can turn the ignition on and test the switch here. Now here, these are the 3 wires that go to the switch, this switch on the column. The light green with brown, I believe, is the power going in. The green with white is the power out of the switch, going to the right signal. And the green with red, which is kind of brownish here, but it is supposed to be red, that's the power to the left signal. So we know that power to the left signal goes. Let's test it. So if we turn left, so now the left signal is working. This light is not working. Why? Oh, because it doesn't have ground, so the grounds here are disconnected. Now it's working, so we just need to have good ground there. Come on, just stay. So since the left signal is working properly, this tells me that we have power on the green with brown, and we have power on the green with red now, obviously. But when we flip it to the right, we don't have anything. So let's disconnect it from here and just confirm that we don't have power to the green with white. And if that's the case, then it tells me that the switch internally has an issue. Okay, I disconnected them both, and it just occurred to me that these wires on the switch, they don't correspond to the schematic, you know. There is a blue wire here, which I assume that this is the main power. This was the green with white, obviously, but I thought this was the green with red, but it looks like this is green with brown. So it looks like this is the main power, so maybe I had it hooked up wrong. So let me switch them. I'm going to connect this one to the light green with brown, and then the blue is going to become the left signal, and green with white is going to become right signal. Let me hook them up this way. There you go. So now left signal works and it flickers down there, and right signal, I don't see it there. The rear one works, but also my probably we don't have good ground here. Okay, another problem. We're gonna figure that out as well. What happens if I turn the hazards on? Do my marker lights flicker still? Yeah, they still flicker. Let me make sure that we have good ground here. So you see, this is not supposed to be working now. Okay, I see a problem here. So let me show you something interesting here. Okay, so these fixtures are notorious for not transferring the ground from these little tabs here that are holding the fixture in place to the actual bulb. I'll show you what the problem is and how I solve it, but somebody else decided to solve it this way by just running a separate wire here to it, which is not a great idea, obviously, because it doesn't make a good ground. And I'm assuming that they did the same here, you see? I don't know what's with these wires. See the same thing here. So because it doesn't make good ground, now it's finding different routes for the ground. So it's obviously taking ground through this bulb somehow, and that's why they're both flickering. So okay, we're gonna take these out, and I'm gonna show you what the problem is and how I solve it. Look, that's how they transferred ground directly to the bulb, but it's loose. So we're gonna unplug it here, and I'm gonna show you what's going on. Okay, so what happens here, this little spring that touches the shell of the bulb, this little spring I'm talking about, is supposedly touching the whole ring here and making contact. But with the years, it corrodes inside, and now there's no connection between the two, even though they touch. So usually what I do is I put a blob of solder here. I have to clean it, of course, and put a little bit of solder there, and that's gonna make a better ground. This is also not the right bulb for here. It's supposed to be one circuit, even though it works somehow. I don't know how they made it work, but it works. Anyway, let me show you. We have 12 volt here. If we put 12 volt here and 12 volt here, nothing happens. It's supposed to happen, but it doesn't. So if I can reach down there with something, if I put ground to this thing here and I reach down there, now it works, you see? But if I touch it here, nothing happens. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna clean it now. It needs to be really nicely cleaned, and I'm gonna solder it, and then it's gonna work like that. So now for sure we have a connection there, and it's not gonna go away. So where's my bulb? Power and ground, and now it works. So this is a very common problem, like really common problem with these. I've repaired countless number of these this way. So I'm gonna have to do it for all of the brake lights, reverse lights, probably all of them, because that's why everything is flickering like that in the back. Okay, this is the other one, and I'm assuming we have the exact same problem here. So it doesn't work here, but it works down there, and same with this circuit. There you go. We don't want to overheat it here because the plastic, you know. So this is the one with two circuits, you see? That's the wrong bulb there, but somehow it works. I'm surprised it works, but as long as it works, that's what matters, right? So there you go. Okay, 2 done, 4 more to go. Okay, they're all soldered now, so let's see what's gonna happen. Uh-oh. What the heck? Okay, that's interesting. I don't understand. Now, when I turn, no matter which signal I turn on, I turn the left one on, so the marker lights are also flashing. Turn the right one on. Now the right signal is on, and the markers are still flashing. But these markers and not these. What about the front ones? Now here in the front, I disconnected the marker lights. You see, I disconnected the 2 signals and the marker lights on purpose because the halo has marker and signal together. So I thought that maybe the halo is messing it up, so I disconnected completely. So now we don't have halo, we don't have signals on the headlights. We only have them here, right? So now the right signal is on, but the marker light here is not flashing, so only the ones in the back. That's crazy. But if I come here and I disconnect the rear harness, the markers on the rear harness, like this, and I test what's coming out of the harness, I have power flickering. So somehow the signals are backfeeding the markers. So, and even here, that's fun. That's funny. Also, this is flickering. So my entire circuit, even these ones are flashing. So where is my signal interfering with my markers? The only place, maybe inside one of these lights. Okay, I'm gonna disconnect them here as well. Oh my god, need to disconnect my entire harness now. Okay, I need two hands. I'm gonna disconnect this one and that one, and we will see. Okay, this marker is disconnected, and this marker is disconnected. And now I think we're not flashing anymore here. Yeah. But we're not even on. Why? Yeah, because the switch is off. Now they are on. So they were flashing without even being on. So it was just backfeeding from somewhere. Do we have power here now? Nope. Now we don't have anything. Well, if we plug it in, let's see if everything's gonna work well in the back. Alright, this is plugged back in. And now everything works well here, right? Let's turn the other signal on. Yeah, now everything works well. Let's turn the lights on. Okay, now the markers are on, and the side markers are on too. So somehow one of these two lights is backfeeding. Let's turn off this. This is off. One of these two is backfeeding me. Okay, there's a little bit of corrosion inside, but how does power go from one side to the other? I don't know. Maybe through the bulb. You know, sometimes the bulbs can be faulty. Anyway, we're gonna try to clean that a little bit. That's much better. And now I'm gonna clean also this ground, because that's possible that if this light didn't have a good ground here, maybe it was grounding through this. I don't know anymore. No. Again? Sick and tired of that. Look. How? This is flashing, but what? I'm gonna disconnect the ground. Okay, the ground is disconnected and it is still working. And I still have the same issue here. So that tells me that the signal is grounding through the marker lights. Okay, take it out again. Oh my god, this is like such a mess. Looks like the LED bulbs are messing me up because they're both out now. You see this one and this one, and I put incandescent bulbs there, like again 2 circuits, and they're different color. This is just clear, and this is a yellow one or amber, because I don't have the same color. But look, now everything is working properly. I even hooked up the halo and the signals on the headlights, and everything is working as it should. The halo is on, and we have the marker lights here on. And when I turn the signals, this is the left one, everything is working properly in the back, everything is working properly in the front. Right signal, same thing. And if I turn the lights off, the marker lights I mean, now the marker lights are off, everything is working properly here, and everything is working properly in the back. The other one, no marker lights. And this one is working properly here too. But if I put the LED bulbs in, then I'm having trouble. So looks like these LED bulbs are what's messing me up. Let me try again, but I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Okay, now we have the LEDs on, and right away we have a problem in the back. See? So last thing that I'm gonna try is I have these bulbs 1157. These are LED, but they are red. So I'm just gonna put them for a test. I know I can't have red lights in the front. I'm just gonna put them as a test to see if it is gonna work, because I'm pretty sure this bulb is, let me take it out. This bulb is shorting internally the two circuits. So I'm gonna, okay, so this is the difference. These are the ones that came out, the amber, and this is the red. Let me put it on. I'm pretty sure everything is gonna be fine now. There you go. No problem with this. Right signal. No problem. The only problem is now that we're flashing red. What's gonna happen if we put this? It's gonna become orange. Yeah, it's still red. In camera may be orange, but it is red. So these are our coports. They are shorting the two circuits. Alright, so I went and I ordered two of these, but amber, actually two of these, but amber, and they're gonna come tomorrow supposedly, and when they come we're gonna replace them. For now I'm just gonna put the incandescent ones, even though they are different colors, but just so we can continue testing here, because that took forever. Stupid bulbs. These we should throw in the garbage. I'm gonna give them to Rob, but he should throw them in the garbage. Signal, right signal. Right signal. So we can see if this. Okay, let's try them with the marker lights on. So that's marker lights, that's brakes. I don't see, but okay, so that's solved. And now the last thing in the back is the reverse lights. And like I said, I think the problem is a user error, because yeah, no, that's not there. Reverse is not there. Where is reverse on these cars? Oh, is that reverse? Like where fifth gear is? Maybe. Why did we turn this on? Off. Okay, let's see. And the reverse lights are not on. Well, first of all, let's confirm that the reverse lights work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disconnect them from here, and I'm gonna shorten these two with a bridge, and we'll see if they're gonna work. And that's gonna eliminate everything from here to the back, and we will know that the problem is somewhere here, if there is a problem. Okay, the switch is bypassed, and I think we have lights. Yep, both of them are working. So yeah, definitely that's reverse, but it doesn't work. So unfortunately, the problem is on the transmission. We have a new switch, which Rob was anticipating that this was the problem, and he got a new switch, so we're gonna have to replace it, or maybe the wires are disconnected from the switch on top of the transmission, but that's gonna be pain in the butt here to get to it. Anyway, I'm not gonna deal with that now. We know that electrically everything works, just the switch needs to be taken care of. So, okay, in this case, let's look at the fuel gauge. That was another problem, right? So the fuel gauge, when the fuel sender in the gas tank was connected, it was showing max, which means that probably the sender is shorted inside. So I disconnected the sender and the level went down, which is telling me that the wire itself is not shorted. The short is inside the gas tank. Just to confirm, let's see if we have 10 volts here, because how the gauge works, it has 10 volts on one side, and on the other side it has ground through the sender, and the sender is a resistor. I don't know how well you can see from there, but that's how it is. 10 volts on one side, and on the other side it's connected to ground through the sender, which sender is actually a resistor. The higher the level, the lower the resistance. The lower the level, the higher the resistance. When it is full, the resistance is pretty low and the gauge shows high. If we bypass the resistor and connect it directly to ground, then there's no resistance at all, and then it goes to the max. So let's confirm first that we have 10 volts here. So we have 13.2 initially. Okay, so our voltage stabilizer is probably not grounded. Yes, it is grounded. So it's possible, because now it's showing me 13.2 volts. And it's possible that the, what's it called? That the voltage stabilizer is not good, and it's just okay. Let's change that. Okay, so we replaced the voltage stabilizer with what's it called, like a solid state one, and now we have solid 10 volts here, 9.8. But unfortunately we still have the gauge showing more than max. Let's just confirm that now we have 9.8 volts here as well, which we do. So we still have problem with the sender, obviously. Let me go and disconnect it again. Now the sender is disconnected and we're going down. So this tells me that the wire is not shorted anywhere inside the loom, because sometimes that might happen, you know, and then the circuit is closed before it even reaches the sender. But no, the short is inside. The problem is that the tank is full now, and I can't remove the sender because it's gonna leak all over the place. The sender is in the back of the tank. Let me show you. So the sender is here and the level of the fuel is above it. So we either need to drain some fuel at some point, or I don't know, we will see. Yeah, actually that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pump out some of the fuel, and then we're gonna see if the level is gonna change at all, or it's still gonna show max. But that's another problem that we have to leave alone for now. Well, in this case, maybe we should put the dash somewhat together, or actually we had issues here with the oil light and the beam, right? Because now the ignition is on, as you can see here, so the oil light should be on as well, but it isn't. This is the oil light, should be on. Let me see if we touch it to ground. Yeah, if we touch it to ground, it comes on. So why wasn't it on when I had it in? Oh, because these are plastic. Okay, these are plastic. Okay, makes sense. I thought these were metal, so I was thinking if we plug it in, then it should come on in this case, but it's no. Well, in this case, let me go and play with the switch on the engine. Okay, so this switch obviously is not wired properly. The old wires were cut here, and I could see which wire was connected where, and I connected my wires in the same places, but it looks like it is not correct. So what this switch does is one pin is ground, that I don't know which one, but one needs to be ground, so this is my black wire, and then when the pressure is low, it connects the ground to another pin, let's say this pin, and when the pressure is high, it connects the ground to the other pin, and now this one is disconnected. I don't know which one is which, but that's how it should work. Of course, when the pressure is low, that should give ground to our light on the dash, and when the pressure is high, that should give ground to the anti-run-on valve to close our vacuum leak, because that's what the anti-run-on valve does. It creates a vacuum leak. But if I connect the ground to this pin, let's see, nothing here, nothing here. If I connect it here, nothing here, nothing here. Huh. So, do we have ground here? We should. Yes, we have ground here. So even this switch is not good. Oh. Nope. In this situation, two of the pins need to be closed. But none of them are closed. Yeah, so this switch is not good. Because if we put ground here, our light on the dash should come on. Yeah, I can see it from here. There you go. So we need another switch. Oh my god. Well, in this case, I can put the light back and deal with the switch later. Again, another problem that we have to leave for later. And the only light that we have to test now is the main beam. Does it work? No. Oh, okay, now it's on. The ground is not solid here, but there you go. So the main beam light works. So in this case, we know that everything works on the dash. I mean, everything is connected properly behind the dash. We have two problems, but they are not behind the dash. One is the fuel gauge, which we know that the sender, we need to deal with the sender. And the other problem is the oil pressure light, but we know, again, that's the switch on the engine. In this case, I think we should just put everything together. I want to start cleaning up here before I move to the engine bay, because we have to test also whether everything is whether the car is gonna start, right? Because that's the next big step. And when the engine starts, then we can figure out these are the two wires for the tachometer, right? We said that we don't know whether they go yellow and green or green and yellow. We're gonna figure that out once the car starts. But at least we can put the gauges on the wood and just put them, the wooden pieces like that, with maybe just one screw here, so it is a little bit cleaner, because it still feels like a mess here and I don't like that. Car is electrical, so like I said, this guy talks too much. But I don't know whether these wires go like this or like this, you know what I mean? Alright, this guy talks too much. So we are here at the back of the tachometer. As you can see here, most of the dash is assembled now. I'll show you a little bit more later, but here at the back of the tachometer, you see these are the connections, and that guy was saying that he didn't know which one goes where, because that's not explained on the schematic. But I found the original connector, or the original two connectors for the tachometer from the original harness. It was cut off from the original harness and it was in the trunk of the car. So you can see that the green one is the spade connector that plugs to the spade connector, and there's a bullet connector that plugs here, and that's the white. It used to be white in the original harness, but here it is yellow with white. So we're gonna solder these here, and we know what goes where now. So that's one thing. Here you can see that, by the way, it's another day, and I have this part of the dash assembled now. I'm only missing this. I have the light fixture in the back. I don't know where the cable went. I don't know where the wire went, but I'm missing the little thing like this that says wiper wash or something. But everything else here is hooked up. Soon the tachometer is going to be hooked up as well. I need to still plug in the cable for the speedometer actually, and then we can assemble this part of the dash completely. Even the choke is here now, and then we can put this part on. So this one never came apart, so it can go in, but before that we need to install these sliders here. So this is the switch for the heater fan, and also this cable, which is for the door on the airbox. It also goes right here in this switch right here, and then there's another switch for the heater valve that we need to replace the cable. The cable is here, but it's not good, so Rob gave me a new cable that we're gonna replace all the way to the heater valve, and these two switches mount here first, and then this goes over. So we're gonna do that, and yeah, making progress here. I already put this wiring harness in a loom. It's not easy, it's actually pretty hard to do that under the dash. So anyway, this is what I'm using, that came with the kit. You just wrap it around the harness, and then with some electrical tape here and there, you fix it. And yeah, it's coming along. Okay, the tachometer is now installed, and we're ready to move on to the next part here. And I already hooked up this cable here, and now it mounts with a bolt here. So there's some bushings, so this goes like this, and this goes like this, one-handed. Wow, I can assemble a car one-handed. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not, but that's the idea. All right, everything is assembled, and I wonder why nobody told me that it is such a nightmare to assemble a Spitfire dash. Honestly, I've never done a dash like this, but TR6, TR4, it's so much easier. Here it is so tight in the back, it's crazy. Anyway, everything is assembled, everything still works. I just tested everything again. Lights work, hazards, illumination here, the hazard lights and everything. So we're getting closer to actually starting the engine and see if everything there works well. But before that, we need to install the exhaust because Rob and the kids took it off so they can take the diff out, and the rear suspension, they rebuilt some stuff, and they never installed it back. So I have it now, and it is and it is my responsibility to install it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the car on jack stands, and let's see if we can install it quickly so we can attempt to start the engine. Well, actually, we're gonna leave the mechanical stuff for next time. I mean, starting the engine and solving other mechanical issues, we're gonna have another episode about that. In this episode, let's finish with the wiring. So I'm gonna jump ahead in time to the day when I got my switch, lights, and what else did we order? I don't know what else. And let's continue solving electrical problems. And in the next episode, we're gonna see if she's gonna start. So we're not done. Let's continue crack-a-lacking. Anyways, I think I found the problem with the sender unit. Am I stupid or what? I was just talking to Rob on the phone, and after I finished the conversation, I came to look at this, and look what I found. It is backwards. So the black is the ground. This needs to connect here, and green with black, I believe, is the one that connects to the sender, to this one. So I'm basically connecting it to ground. So we might not even have a problem here. Okay. Anyway, let's see. And the last electrical issues that we have, I believe, was the oil pressure light and the two front signals. So we got new bulbs, LED, amber, so we're gonna replace those. And we got a new switch, and it came with a schematic, so let me open it and see what the schematic says. Okay, so these are the installation instructions, but they sell it for a different purpose. It will work, it's the same thing, and they use it for a fuel pump. So it says here that a pressure switch should always be used in conjunction with universal inline electric fuel pump. The safety interlock circuit stops the electric fuel pump when the engine stops, even though the ignition switch is not turned off. But what's important for us to know is that the pins are marked here, P, S, and I. P and S are normally closed, P and I are normally open. So P is the common. When oil pressure exists whatever PSI, P and S terminals are open and P and I are closed. So we're gonna connect our ground to P. On S we're gonna put the oil pressure warning light. So when we turn the ignition on, these are closed and the light's gonna come on. But when we start the engine, the pressure is gonna rise and P and S will open, and then P and I are gonna close. So we're gonna put our anti-run-on valve on I. So now the valve is gonna get the ground from P and it's gonna close. Okay, so the switch is replaced and I only connected the ground to the P, and now you can see that with S we have a closed circuit, with I it's open. Perfect. Okay, it works great, but we have to start the engine to see if it is gonna come off, which I'm pretty sure it will. So for now, that's how far we're gonna go with the oil pressure warning light, and let's move on to the other problems. Okay, so the new LED lights are in here. Let's see if they're gonna work. Perfect. And perfect. And let's see the back. Okay, and we don't have anything else other than the signals flashing, so that's great. Let's turn on the lights, by the way, and see, make sure that everything is still okay. Yeah, now we have the marker lights on. By the way, I spoke to the owner. He couldn't find the wipe thing at home, so we decided that I'm gonna use a TR6 one that I had. And even though it's a different color, you see this one is red and all these there are red, this one is green, but at least there's something that's working. And these are still working. Okay, so we can put the lenses on and that's it. I think now the entire dash works, except for the brake warning light, but that's because here, like we said, we don't have the proper connector. I just put a connector here so it doesn't touch anywhere, because when it touches ground it comes on, the light. Let me try. There you go. When I touch it to ground, the light comes on. So I'm just gonna put it here like that, and I'm gonna tell Rob that this is where this needs to be connected. Hopefully he still has the remainings of the old harness at home, and that other part of this plug is still there. So now electrically everything works except one thing. Remember, that's the reverse lights. So now I'm gonna put the car on jack stands. I need to fix something else also, which I'm not gonna bother you with, but there's a little leak of brake fluid from this wheel, which Rob knew about, so he asked me to take care of it. So I'm gonna put it on jack stands to look at that, and also to figure out whether the switch on the transmission is bad or whatever. Oh, look, a smiley face. She's happy. Okay, so we are under the car, and I think I already found the problem. Do you see the problem? Right there. That's why I don't like those bullet connectors. Let me see how I can reach that and try to plug it in. Okay, I did my best and it's connected now, but I don't know. Alright, so we are in reverse. Turn the ignition on. Yes, it works. Let's see. Off. Well, they work. I'm just gonna make sure that when I shake the wires, they're not gonna come loose again. So you watch, I'm gonna go shake them. Is it flickering? I hope not. Alright guys, so this footage here is from way after many other things were done, but I just wanted to show you how the harness was wrapped at the end. I disconnected everything from the engine bay, pulled it out and wrapped it, and then put it back in and connected everything and made sure that everything is working again. So that's the last of the electrical. So like I said, there's gonna be one more episode in which I'm gonna deal with mechanical stuff, because it turned out there was other issues with brakes, with even with the engine a little bit. So we're gonna deal with that in the next episode. For now guys, thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing and supporting me via PayPal and Patreon. It's really appreciated. Just a reminder that under the video you can find my online store where you can buy merchandise, and that's another way to support me guys. Buy hats, t-shirts, stickers or mugs branded Rusty Beauties. So if you want to support me a little bit, that's a way as well. So anyways, I'm rambling, the video is way too long, so thanks for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.